Great to be here. Welcome, everyone. This during this special time of Elul, I I always remember that Elul stands for Ani Dodi V'Dodi Li. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. And it's the text of the Song of Songs for me is the central text of my Jewish life, and I follow the question of Rabbi Akiva, who said, had the Torah not been given, we could live our lives by the Song of Songs. And so each week I am inspired in my practice by some lines from the Song of Songs that can send me onto the path of love, and come more become more connected with the source, with God the beloved, with the great mystery that is always there, but I get distracted from. So the text that I want to bring to you from the Song of Songs um, is an amazing text to send us to our practice, to inspire us in our meditation. And so, Jordan, if you want to share that for everyone, it's a practice that is called shameless kisses. Shameless kisses. And here is, oh, you're sharing it in the chat then. Okay. You're not sharing it on the screen. Oh, yeah. Okay. So can everybody see the, oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. So at the end of the Song of Songs, the lover dreams of a certain state of consciousness, a state of presence, where it might be possible to be completely open in love, to be unself-conscious about who I am, to sit in radiant dignity with an openness and authenticity, a sense of being liberated by my conditioning, and a state that I call inner sovereignty. So inner sovereignty is a state where I know that I'm sitting on my throne and I am completely in charge of my inner state. But I'm actually not in charge of anything else, but I am in charge of my inner state. And no matter what's happening in the world out there, I can come back to that sense of connection. I don't have to be a victim of circumstances. I can feel fully supported by my throne. I can sit in integrity and wholeness, and I can establish an inner connection that I can then maintain throughout my day. And so I pay attention to that during my meditation practice and really enter it. And so the words emtsa'acha, amtsa'acha actually means I will find you. No matter where you go, no matter where I go in the world, I will find you, God. Oh, great mystery. I will find you. Bachutz, when I go outside, when I leave my meditation cushion, I will find you. Eshakacha, I will kiss you. I will come into a kind of an intimacy with my life. And then it says, Gam lo yavu zuli, which means, and no one would scorn me, and even if they did, it wouldn't bother me. I would be oblivious to the scorn of the world, because that's how important it is to maintain this inner state of sovereignty, of connection. And so in my meditation practice, I will sit in that place. I will cultivate a certain quality of presence, which allows me to know my wholeness and to know that nothing can move me from that throne, that place of inner sovereignty. So it prepares me for the rest of my day, for the rest of my life. So what I wanted to do with you is to chant these words together and sort of enter into their mystery and into their possibility what would it be like to live in this truth? The sense of the shameless kisses. There's, that of holding on to the truth that I am kind of at my core, at that place of the center of me, which is the place that is connected to God, the great mystery. So I love this. I love this practice because it kind of puts me into this place of radiance and of dignity that then is like, oh, that's how I want to live my life. So let's just first say the words, just so we get them. Emtsa'acha, I can hear you say it. Vachutz eshakacha, gam lo yavuzu li. Gam lo yavuzu li. So we'll chant this for a few minutes and just enter into the beauty of the words and the beauty of the vision, the possibility of living in that quality of presence. And then when we go into the silence, just feel it, just allow it. Keep returning to that quality of presence that is unself-conscious, radiant dignity, open, authentic, liberated. Vachutz eshakacha, amsacha, vachutz eshakacha, gam lo yavuzu li, gam lo yavuzu li, amsacha, vachutz eshakacha, amsacha, vachutz eshakacha, gam lo yavuzu li, gam lo yavuzu li. Try that. Hamsacha vachutz eshakacha, hamsacha vachutz eshakacha, gam lo yavuzu li, gam lo yavuzu li. Hamsacha vachutz eshakacha, hamsacha vachutz eshakacha, gam lo yavuzu li, gam lo yavuzu li. Hamsacha vachutz eshakacha, hamsacha vachutz eshakacha, gam lo yavuzu li, gam lo yavuzu li. With feeling. Hamsacha vachutz eshakacha, hamsacha vachutz eshakacha, gam lo yavuzu li, gam lo yavuzu li. Hamsacha vachutz eshakacha, hamsacha vachutz eshakacha, gam lo yavuzu li, gam lo yavuzu li. Hamsacha vachutz eshakacha, hamsacha vachutz eshakacha, gam lo yavuzu li, גם לא יבוזו לי, גם לא יבוזו לי. אמצעך בחוץ אשקך, אמצעך בחוץ אשקך, גם לא יבוזו לי, גם לא יבוזו לי. אמצעך בחוץ אשקך, אמצעך בחוץ אשקך, גם לא יבוזו לי, גם לא יבוזו לי. And as we enter the silence, invite you to close your eyes, bring your attention to the breath. Breathe into the center of your heart. And just imagine you are sitting on the throne of your inner sovereignty. And with each breath, you sit up a little straighter, and your heart becomes a little bit more radiant. And in the silence, we are cultivating a quality of presence that will be imprinted on us and we will have access to throughout our lives. So again, breathe into the heart and let yourself expand inside. we begin to move from the silence into the chant, I just invite you to set an intention that whatever you've touched inside you of that place of source, of devekut, of connection, and you bring it out first through the chant and then in the kisses of your life. So that your life is a kiss. And after the chant, we can open ourselves to hear the shofar, to awaken to love. אמצעך וחוץ אשקך, אמצעך וחוץ אשקך, גם לא יבוזו לי, גם לא יבוזו לי. Once more. אמצעך וחוץ אשקך, אמצעך וחוץ אשקך, גם לא יבוזו לי, גם לא יבוזו לי. And be open to the shofar.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Shefa, for your beautiful teaching. And thank you so much, Richard, for the call of the shofar. We seal this beautiful practice today, offering the opportunity for any of you who are in mourning or observing a yortzeit, or if it is your practice to participate in Kaddish, to do so. If you're not reciting Kaddish, you're welcome to stay present and offer your compassion and love to those who are in mourning. If you are observing Kaddish, you're welcome to put the names of anyone who you are remembering in the chat. We'll share the words on the screen. And if you are reciting the Kaddish today, you're welcome to unmute yourself and join me in body or in spirit to rise as we recite these words together. Yitkadal,
Elamin kol birchata v'shirata tushkata v'neremata adam iran v'yamah v'yamru amen. Yishma Rabba min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. V'aseh shalom b'mrama v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yamru amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you again, everyone. And thank you, Shefa, again for that beautiful teaching. So for those who are leaving now, we wish you good health and shalom, and we'll see you perhaps again tomorrow at the same time. And those of you who would like to are welcome to stay on here to ask Shefa any questions that emerged for you from today's teaching or practice, or if you'd like to share any reflections on your experience in the chat. If you do have a question for Shefa, if you could just write question in all caps before sharing it in the chat, that'll help us to see it. So we'll stay on for about 10 minutes here to have a little conversation with Rabbi Shefa. Shefa, thank you again for that beautiful teaching. And I'm so moved. I really am so moved by your relationship with Shir HaShirim, with the Song of Songs, and how it's become so central as you've been sharing to your own practice and relationship to Judaism these days. And I loved what you said in the beginning today about how Rabbi Akiva said that if we'd not received the Torah, that we could live our whole lives by the Song of Songs. Really powerful. And I would just love it if you might share with us a little bit more about what it is that this work in particular, the Song of Songs, means to you, and why you've devoted so much of your energy and your teaching these days and in recent years, it seems like, to really going so deeply into this work, and in particular how it relates to this time of year of Elul as we're preparing for the high holidays.
You know, I've always loved the Song of Songs, but I didn't really know how to use it, how to bring it into my life. And I kind of received this meditation that, this a revelation that said to me, well, you want to put love at the center, which is really what my deepest kind of yearning is for this world, is to put love at the center, and also feel that religion to me is really could be a destructive force if love is not at the center. And by saying love, I mean something that is kind of the mystical core of the religion. That when that mystical core is missing, everything else, it feels like it's off in some way, and it doesn't bring love into the world. And love is what the world needs, and love as the transforming force that brings us into our wholeness. And so the message that I got is to treat the Song of Songs as you would Torah, as the central text. And when I did that, I divided up the Song of Songs into 52 parshiot, and then each week was challenged to say, like, oh, now how do I live this? And it felt like the teachings just kept kind of pouring through me of just being challenged by saying, I don't want to learn Torah, I want to live it. And so the Song of Songs is a story of love, is a story of relationship, and it's based in our relationship with nature, and it kind of just represents to me the core truths of how to love and be loved in a world when it's not so easy to do that. And so to step up to the challenges of love, I take a text each week and try to unpack it, study it, live it, ask and hold a question all week long. So it's been very fruitful, and there's people who have been joining me on this path, and whose lives have also been transformed by it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I see this question here from Emmy, does love equal connection? And I love what you just said about how love is that mystical core, and love is also the transforming force. And it seems true that love finds itself in many different expressions, right? And I
think about it as a flow from the divine through me. Then the work of love becomes opening up everything, clearing everything that blocks that flow, and that becomes my work. And so I have an intention for love, and then it's not so easy. And then I need to do the work, which often means healing some places in me that are triggered or wounded. That kind of gets, the places I get stuck. And, love has different qualities. It's not always sweet and nice. Sometimes it's fierce. But it is like the most powerful force. And it's not something of mine. It's something that I allow through me.
Yes.
Or I surrender to that force and allow it through and find the forms to take it. So
Yeah. So here's a question that seems related to what you just said from Lori. When on the throne of our own sovereignty, connected to and in control only over our own attitudes and behaviors, how do we interact or with detachment with someone who is poking at us to engage in negative relationship, competition, blame, etc.?
You know, this is what life is made out of. Those interactions. Those are the tests of my sovereignty in some way. Do I become the victim of someone else's energy, or can I set the terms? And sometimes it means disengaging, and sometimes it means kind of coming from a place of compassion. Because often, when someone is poking at me, they're really suffering themselves, and I need to so it's like working with my own triggers and widening my perspective so that I don't get lost in those interactions. I don't know. There's probably lots more to say about that, but that's but it's always a work in progress, and there are always challenges to love. And so each day, when I step, if I ask that question, how do I bring love to everything I do? Just holding that question changes the way that I receive a challenge.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And it's, as you just said, love can be quite fierce, right? And sometimes love is that chesed quality of just overflowing, allowing, accepting, indiscriminatory, goes everywhere. And other times it's voradic, right? It's more like, no, the best expression of love is actually a boundary.
Learning how to have loving boundaries is
Yeah.
like a great learning curve, because often we put up boundaries and become unloving in order to have those boundaries. But what does it mean to have loving boundaries?
Yeah.
That's that's a whole other project, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing how a boundary can be quite firm and strong, but it's so different if it's coming from that place of love versus a place of kind of reactivity or just like more just aversive, resisting. So here's another question from Michael. Rabbi Shefa, would you speak on the sanctity of silence in your meditation guidance, as well as others' verbal advice to note what passes in or out of mind at that time?
You know, uh, I'm not sure I understand the question, but the silence is really an important part of the chant. The chant is, for me, a doorway into the silence. But the silence has a quality to it. It's the quality of my presence. And so that quality can be, I could be dull, or it could be sparkling. You know,
Mm.
it could be numb, or it could be alive. And so I want to it's not about the content of mind. I'm continually letting go of the content of mind, but the quality of mind itself is something that I'm working with as an artist of the holy. I am shaping it in a way of like, this is the quality that I am embodying in this at this moment, and there's nothing more important than my devekut, my connection with the oneness. And so any kind of thoughts that come and go, um, it's like I say that I'm prioritizing nothing over something. I'm
Mm.
prioritizing that sense of being is what I want to enter into and keep returning to. And so the chant for me is something that helps me enter the silence. It kind of conditions me in a certain way of relaxing my body, opening my heart, clearing my mind, and readying me to be able to just to go into that place of pure being and sustain it, for moments at a time, come and return to it. So however strong that quality of presence that I create, it's like a magnet that I'll keep returning to. And then in my life, when there are challenges, it's like, oh, I know that I can return to that quality of presence where I'm not the victim of my life. I am, I have that place of inner sovereignty that that sees life as a great adventure.
That's so beautiful. Um, so there's a few more questions on boundaries. Obviously, as you said, such a big one, such an important practice on loving boundaries. Is there anything else, Shefa, that you'd like to say with us, share with us on what it really means for boundaries to be loving, or how to have boundaries, especially with people who are close in our lives, that are loving and not like cutting people out? Is there anything else that
I'll
you
just
would
give
like to share?
the example of my own marriage. Um, when I talk to my husband and it's not a good time for him, he might say, get away from me, and you're bothering me. Or he might say, oh, I'd love to talk to you. Let's do it at 2 o'clock today. And that's a loving boundary. It's like, because I'm not being pushed away, I'm being invited in, but at an appropriate time. And so, so that's to me an example of like nobody else is in charge of me, but my deepest intention is to love in a way that serves everyone. And so to not to lose myself in that in love, or not to, so every relationship I'm just always working with, how do I keep my own integrity and also fulfill this deepest intention I have to love.
Mhm. Yeah. It feels actually very related here to this comment from Harris that, it's an interesting challenge to remain a being while doing. And it reminds me of, it's like what you're saying is like to remain loving while also expressing boundaries or saying no, to remain in that consciousness of being even while active, or as we were also just saying, to kind of uh, maintain on some level the silence of being, even as we're also filling it with sound. Like, what does it mean for the sound and the chanting to really emerge from that place of silence and return to it, rather than kind of like interrupting it or negating it in some way, but just hearing like the kind of complexity and beauty in
Yeah,
in the love that emerges from the being.
those words that we chanted, Gam lo yavuzuli, that no one will scorn me. It means I'm not gonna internalize that scorn. You
Mhm.
know, I can't control what anybody else does, but I can work with my own triggers around it. I can not be, I can learn how to not be reactive,
Right.
and it's a lifetime of learning how to do that.
Right. And I want to just say also, Pancho, thank you for your comments. And it feels important to really name and acknowledge that it's not easy. It's really not easy. And sometimes people do things that are really, really hurtful. And to respond lovingly even in a boundaried way does not mean that that's okay, or that we're just like, accepting something that actually is like really, really wrong. And it can be a tremendous process that can take a long time also of kind of um, discerning and understanding how to hold in a greater sense of love, even right from place of understanding, even like things that are really, really hurtful, but to have compassion there.
I want to bring it back to our practice because there's a real relationship with what I cultivate in my presence, in my practice alone, sitting on my pillow, and how I, find my way back there, how I maintain that in the face of challenges. And sometimes it just means noticing my reactivity and returning,
Mhm.
letting it go, a constant, practice of tshuva. And the more that I practice these kind of states of generosity and love, the more I'm kind of creating these new neural pathways of inside me, and and noticing my habits and letting go of those habits,
Yeah,
coming into like a place of choice in this moment. Like,
absolutely. And yeah, well,
I
I'll just
always feel like that there's a choice in each moment of like, will I be generous in this moment, you know? And that's, but you have to kind of be awake to even have that choice.
Mhm. And I'll just add from my own experience in cases where I've felt very, very hurt or even violated by another person, sometimes the loving response there actually doesn't have anything to do with them, but it's really more about how can I love myself? How can I care for myself right now? And that might be where the attention is needed for a very long time before I feel ready to consider what a loving boundary might be like, or forgiveness, or how to be in relationship, even if the relationship is a boundary with the other person. So I just want to offer that as well, just in honor of sometimes the magnitude of how hard it can be. This is always a beautiful and important place to start in terms of that loving response. So, yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for engaging in this practice.
Thank you so much, Shefa, for sharing your beautiful chant, your beautiful teaching and wisdom with all of us. And thank you to everyone who's here today, practicing together and sharing your reflections and your questions. We really do appreciate it. It's such a gift to get to come together every day in community. As we wrap up here, Shefa, do you want to just say anything about your upcoming retreat in Florida?
There is a retreat January 29th to February 4th, with the registration just opened for it, and I'm excited about this, being in Tampa in the wintertime and doing this kind of dive into the Song of Songs as a practice of cultivating that loving presence. So to, you know, for me, that's my favorite thing to do is to lead retreats where we really enter through and go through all of our resistances and obstacles and come out the other side and fall in love with each other in the process. So I invite you to check it out.
Sounds beautiful. All right, everyone, be well.